Her fingers trembled as she handed her last salary note to a coughing child in a crumbling building. She didn't know the billionaire had followed her. Again, she was called a thief, twice. Once by blood. Once by bread, but what if the thief was the one who healed every wound she touched, and what if the man ready to punish her ended up needing her more than air, when kindness looks like theft? Who do we choose to believe? Please subscribe to this channel to support us. It's free. Thank you. The rain falls in heavy sheets the night Nana flees from the only place she's ever called home. Her legs are bare against the gravel as she runs, the cold slicing her skin like tiny blades. She doesn't dare look back. Behind her is not just her uncle's wrath, but years of pain, of being treated like a ghost in her own bloodline's house. She had kicked him, hard, when he tried to take what he had no right to. The look on his face, shock, pain, anger, it burned into her memory as she escaped into the dark. For an orphan who once had everything, she now has nothing, not even a roof over her head or a warm meal waiting at the end of a long day. Nana wanders the streets, a ghost in a bustling city. Her beauty, a blessing and a curse, draws eyes and danger in equal measure. Several times, men follow her into alleys, whispering vile things with promises of food or shelter. But she's smart, painfully smart, and she always escapes. Her hunger claws at her insides, but her pride won't let her beg. She learns quickly to duck, to hide, to survive. Her soul is scarred by betrayal, but not broken. Somewhere deep in her chest, a fire flickers. She will not let the world make her like them. One day, fate turns ever so slightly in her favor. She stumbles into a modest canteen and sees a tiny handwritten sign, "Help Wanted." With trembling hands and dirt-smudged cheeks, she walks in and asks for a chance. The owner, a stern-faced woman named Mama Nkechi, eyes her up and down. But something in Nana's eyes, maybe the haunted desperation, maybe the flicker of fight, makes her nod. "You start now," Mama Nkechi says gruffly. And just like that, Nana's story begins to shift, not into comfort, but into purpose. Nana becomes the quiet heartbeat of the canteen. She moves with graceful precision, wiping tables, carrying trays, cleaning dishes, without ever asking for more than what is given. Her hands are often raw from washing, her feet blistered, but she never complains. And soon, Mama Nkechi starts to notice. Customers, too, begin to admire the girl with eyes full of storms and a voice soft as prayer. But what endears Nana most is not just her diligence, it's her heart. Every day, when the last customer leaves and the tables are wiped clean, she carefully gathers the untouched leftovers. She wraps them gently, as if they were treasures, and tucks them into her worn satchel. Not for herself, but for others like her, those who live in the shadows of uncompleted buildings and sleep beside ghosts. Nana's kindness isn't loud, but it echoes. Her meager salary, barely enough to survive, is often split in pieces to buy medicine for the sick, notebooks for children, or food for those too weak to beg. Her friends, Ade, Bimp, Yomi, wait for her at dusk like birds waiting for the sky to soften. They call her angel in apron, and though she laughs it off, their words sink deep into her bones. She has suffered, yes, but in that suffering she found something rare, empathy that costs her everything, yet she gives it anyway. She knows what it means to be invisible, to ache, to be blamed for what you didn't do. So she chooses, every day, to make someone else's life just a little more bearable, even if it breaks her, but the world doesn't always reward goodness. One cloudy afternoon, her coworker, Susie, watches her wrap the food with envy in her eyes. The next day, she calls Mama Nkechi and whispers lies coated in concern, "She's stealing your food. Real food. Look at the wraps." Mama Nkechi, hardened by years of betrayal, doesn't wait for explanations. She storms into the kitchen, fury blazing. Without hearing Nana's side, without checking the truth, she slaps her. Once. Twice. Calls her a thief. The words shatter something in Nana. She tries to explain, to plead, but her voice is drowned out by suspicion. And just like that, she's cast out again, fired, humiliated, heart aching. All for being kind. The streets feel colder this time. Not because the wind is stronger, but because Nana's hope has started to crack. She's back to wandering, her stomach aching and soul bruised. The betrayal burns, worse than the hunger, worse than the slap. It wasn't the first time life had been unfair, but this time, it had punished her for doing right. Still, she doesn't stop helping her friends. Even with nothing, she shares her nothingness with them. A piece of dry bread. A shared blanket. A kind word in the middle of the night. To Nana, these acts feel like the last fragile threads keeping her soul from unraveling. Then one morning, something unexpected happens. She overhears a woman in the market speaking about a wealthy man searching for a live-in maid. Nana, covered in dust but unbroken in spirit, walks the long way to his mansion. She expects another rejection. Instead, the gate opens. The house looms before her like a glass palace, cold, distant, unfeeling. The billionaire, Mr. Tunda Okonkwo, barely glances at her when she is hired. His eyes are hard like polished stone, his mouth a firm line. He is rich, yes, but broken in a way she can't yet understand. What she doesn't know is that he detests thieves. Hates them. Because once, long ago, someone close to him had stolen everything, leaving him and his mother homeless until a lawyer helped them reclaim what was rightfully theirs. Nana begins her work quietly. She cleans with the same grace, cooks with the same care, and continues, like a ritual, to package leftover food for her friends. It isn't long before trouble finds her again. The laundryman, scorned by her constant rejection of his crude advances, fabricates a story. She's stealing food, he tells the billionaire. Check the kitchen. That night, Mr. Tun's rage is palpable. His hands tremble as he dials the police, ready to send Nana away, to make her an example. But something, perhaps instinct, perhaps memory, stops him. He decides to check the CCTV first. And what he sees halts him mid-breath. Nana. Carefully wrapping scraps. Not stealing. Not once. Just giving. Tunda Okonkwo stares at the CCTV screen long after the footage ends. His phone, still connected to the police line, dangles forgotten by his side. In the video, Nana's movements are slow and reverent. There's no sneakiness, no guilt, only quiet purpose. She doesn't even glance around as she scoops leftover rice into nylon wraps. No hesitation. No shame. Just devotion. The billionaire, whose heart has long been locked behind steel walls, feels something stir. For the first time in years, his certainty wavers. He cancels the call and sits in silence, wrestling with the weight of what he almost did. His rules had nearly punished an innocent girl, a girl who reminds him too much of the boy he once was. The next morning, he doesn't mention the incident. Instead, he begins to watch her. Not like a boss watches an employee, but like a man trying to understand a mystery. He notices the way she greets every staff member with respect. The way she eats last and least. The way she gives her warmest smiles to empty spaces, as if imagining someone she's lost. He begins testing her, leaving money on the table, loose change on the floor, even his wallet in plain sight. Not once does she touch it. Instead, she always returns it exactly where she found it. The staff gossip, but Nana remains unchanged. Unshaken. Unaware that she's being studied by the man whose life could change hers, curiosity gets the best of him. One evening, after she leaves the house with her familiar food wraps and salary tucked into her faded bag, he follows her. Quietly. Carefully. Through winding streets, past crumbling buildings, until she slips into an uncompleted structure that smells of damp concrete and old dreams. He peeks through a broken window and sees something that crumbles his pride. Children. Teenagers. Elderly beggars. All sitting in a circle as Nana serves them like a mother serves her own. She even gives away half her salary to a girl named Ade who wants to sit for her WAEC exams. Tun's breath catches. For a moment, the mighty billionaire feels utterly small. And in that place of ruin, he sees more beauty than in all his mansions combined. Tun can't sleep that night. The image of Nana, smiling as she shared her food with the forgotten, haunts him. He turns in his expensive bed, surrounded by silk and marble, yet feels emptier than he ever has. The echo of her laughter among those broken walls pierces deeper than any business loss he's ever known. It wasn't just charity, it was healing. The kind he had long abandoned. The billionaire remembers his own childhood, how he watched his mother beg for food at the market after his father's betrayal. He remembers how shame made him hard. How success made him colder. But Nana. She remained soft. Soft, but not weak. That was strength he had never known. The next day, Tun places a thick bundle of money on his bedside table and calls Nana from the other room. "Bring me my car keys," he says, watching her carefully. She walks in, sees the cash, doesn't flinch. She picks up the key and hands it to him without so much as a second glance at the money. He repeats the test over the next few weeks, money in the kitchen, in the laundry room, even under a pillow. Not once does she fail. Not once does she betray the trust he hadn't even voiced. One evening, his voice thick with unspoken emotion, he finally asks her, "Why do you do it, Nana? You give without expecting. You help even when you're hurting. Why?" Nana looks up at him, her eyes calm, almost glowing in the dim light. Her answer is simple, yet it slices through his defenses like a blade. Life is not about acquisition. It's about impact. I don't have to be rich to make a difference. Seeing others smile. It's a balm to my soul. The room goes quiet. For the first time in decades, Tunda Konkwo feels something crack open inside him. He doesn't speak. He just nods. And that night, he cries. Not for her, but for himself, for how much he had lost trying to keep everything. At that moment, he decides, Nana is no longer his maid. She is his friend, his teacher, and perhaps, his redemption. Tunda Konkwo isn't a man of impulse, but the next morning, he makes several life-changing calls. First, to his trusted family lawyer, the same one who had fought tooth and nail to reclaim his inheritance from a cruel uncle after his father's demise. "I need you to find out everything about Nana's family," he instructs. There's a steel in his voice, but it's no longer the cold steel of pride, it's the warm resolve of justice. While waiting for answers, he tells Nana she's no longer a maid. She'll return to school, full sponsorship. And not just her street family too. Ade will register for her exams, the children will get shelter and clothes. Nana stands frozen, trembling. "Why? Why are you doing this?" she asks, her voice barely a whisper. Tun smiles. "Because your life melted my soul." The lawyer moves fast. Within a week, he uncovers a truth that jolts Tun to his core. Nana's parents had been partners with his own. Before tragedy struck, they had planned to merge their businesses through an arranged marriage between their children, Tun and Nana. Their dreams were cut short when Nana's parents died mysteriously in a fire, and his father, already ill, followed shortly after. The uncle who took Nana in had not only stolen her inheritance, but had buried every trace of her legacy. The revelation sends shivers down Tun's spine. Fate had brought them back together, not as heirs to a contract, but as survivors of betrayal, both of whom had clawed their way through darkness to reach each other. As the case is reopened, Nana's stolen properties are recovered. In the span of days, the orphaned girl once labeled a thief becomes a rightful billionaire. But she doesn't move into a palace. She transforms the uncompleted building into a foundation: food, shelter, education for the street children she once lived with. Reporters swarm. Headlines erupt. But Nana remains unchanged. When asked by a journalist what drives her, she simply says, "Because once upon a time, someone shared their leftovers with me." And Tund, watching her from the crowd, knows she hasn't just found her crown, she was born wearing it, hidden all along beneath her scars. Months pass, and Nana's transformation becomes a story that grips the nation. But for Tund, it's not her wealth that dazzles him, it's her unwavering spirit. Despite owning multiple estates now, Nana still wears simple clothes, still cooks her own food, and still takes the time to sit with the children in the foundation every evening. Tund watches her from a distance, fighting the feelings that have grown too loud to ignore. It's not just admiration anymore. It's love, the kind that humbles you, the kind that whispers in the night that you finally found your home. And in all that time, Nana never changes who she is. Even when a minister visits her foundation, she greets him the same way she greets the orphan boys, with respect and simplicity. One bright Sunday morning, Tund takes Nana back to the very place he first trailed her to, the uncompleted building. But now, it's been fully renovated into a safe home for over 30 children. The walls are painted, beds made, books shelved. He holds her hand and leads her to the rooftop where the wind dances gently with her braids. "Do you remember the first day I saw you here?" he asks. She nods, smiling. "You looked like a man haunted by something he couldn't name," she says softly. He laughs, eyes shining with unshed tears. "And you looked like a woman carrying the world with both hands and still choosing to share it." He pauses, takes a deep breath, and kneels on one knee. In his hand, a simple ring, nothing flashy, just gold, like her heart. "Marry me, Nana. Not because of our past. Not even because of our future. But because I don't want to spend another day on this earth without your soul beside mine." Nana gasps. Her hand flies to her mouth. For a moment, she says nothing. Then, tears well up in her eyes, not the kind born of sadness, but of overwhelming grace. "Yes," she whispers. 1,000 times, yes. The children below cheer as if heaven itself has joined the celebration. And as Tund slides the ring onto her finger, he knows something deep in his soul: this wasn't just redemption. It was a rebirth. Two broken hearts had found healing in each other. And though their story had started in suffering, it would be remembered for generations as a love that rose from ashes and built an empire of kindness. From a broken orphan to a billionaire with a heart of gold, Nana's story isn't just about riches, it's about resilience, sacrifice, and love that defied every betrayal. Would you give your last meal? If you had nothing left, drop your answer in the comments, and remember, sometimes, the people who give the most are the ones who once had nothing at all. Subscribe for more real, soul-touching stories like this, because every view, every share, spreads kindness. See you in the next one. Thank you.